Life has a way of shifting in an instant. One moment, everything is as it should be. Steady, predictable, safe. The next, it's as if the world tilts on its axis, throwing everything into chaos. That's exactly what happened on a crisp October morning at Pine Valley Stables. For years, Spirit had been more than just a horse. He was a partner, a friend, a quiet guardian to every rider who crossed his path. His copper coat gleamed in the autumn sunlight, his gentle nature making even the most nervous beginners feel safe in the saddle. He wasn't just part of the stable, he was part of the family. But that morning everything changed. The stable hands led Spirit out as they had done countless times before. The familiar path, the golden leaves crunching underfoot, the cool mountain air. It was all the same. Until, in the blink of an eye, disaster struck. A sudden movement, a startled step, hooves scrambling for grip on rain-slicked ground. Then a sickening, heavy thud. Spirit had fallen. And he wasn't getting up. When they rushed to his side, fear gripped them all. His back legs lay motionless, his eyes wide with confusion. The weight of the moment settled over Pine Valley Stables like a storm cloud. Within minutes, their trusted vet, Dr. Chen, was on her way, but deep down, everyone feared the same thing. This might be the end for Spirit. As the news spread, the atmosphere at the stable shifted. The usual hum of laughter and hoofbeats was replaced by hushed conversations and worried glances. Spirit was fighting to move, but his legs would not obey. And as the days passed with little improvement, a painful reality began to set in. Horses weren't meant to lie down for long. If he couldn't stand, he couldn't survive. The stable owners were faced with an unthinkable decision. The vet bills were piling up, and despite every effort, specialists, treatments, prayers, Spirit remained unable to rise. Time was running out. They had to start preparing for the hardest goodbye. But just when hope seemed to be slipping away, something remarkable happened. Hope didn't come from the experienced trainers or the skilled veterinarians. It didn't come from the specialists or the endless medical research. It came in the form of someone most would overlook. A 6-year-old girl, barely tall enough to reach Spirit's shoulder, yet carrying the kind of wisdom that defied her years. Where others saw an impossible situation, she saw a problem that needed solving. Where adults focused on what couldn't be done, she wondered why nobody was trying something different. And in that moment everything changed. This is the story of how one child's unwavering belief sparked a miracle. A story about second chances, about refusing to give up, and about the incredible bond between a girl and a horse who refused to let each other go. Stay with us as we take you through the journey that transformed not just Spirit's fate, but the future of rehabilitation for injured horses everywhere. Welcome to Loyal Companion Stories, where love, determination, and a little bit of courage can change everything. The days that followed Spirit's accident were filled with uncertainty. His once lively stall, where children used to stop for a gentle nuzzle or sneak him a treat, now carried an eerie silence. The stable workers moved through their routines with heavy hearts, glancing over at the copper-coated horse who had once been the heart of Pine Valley Stables. Spirit's eyes still held their quiet intelligence, but his body refused to cooperate. His back legs lay motionless, his muscles growing weaker by the day. Everyone who loved him clung to the smallest flicker of hope, that maybe, somehow, he would recover. But hope alone wasn't enough. Despite their best efforts, the stable owners were forced to have the conversation they had been dreading. With every day that passed, Spirit's condition worsened. His muscles were deteriorating. His body was struggling under the weight of being unable to stand, and even the most experienced veterinarians had run out of solutions. Dr. Chen, the trusted vet who had cared for Spirit since he was a young colt, knew she had to be honest. Horses weren't meant to be down for so long. If Spirit couldn't regain movement soon, keeping him alive would become cruel instead of compassionate. The painful reality was setting in. Whispers spread through the stable. Long-time riders, stable hands, and even visitors who had only met Spirit once or twice came by to say their quiet goodbyes. Some brought him crisp apples, others brushed his coat, their hands lingering a little longer than usual. He was more than just a horse. He was a friend, a healer, a source of comfort to so many. But while the adults were caught in their grief, one small figure refused to give up. 6-year-old Lily had always been small for her age, but nobody in the stable underestimated her spirit. While other children ran to the ponies, she had always been drawn to Spirit. From the first time they met, when he lowered his massive head to sniff the pocket of her jacket, a bond had formed between them, one that even an accident couldn't break. While adults spoke in hushed voices about making the humane decision, Lily sat outside Spirit's stall, her tiny fingers gripping the wooden bars. She whispered stories to him, the way she used to when her little brother was in the hospital. "You just need to figure out how to stand up again," she told him, running a hand along his mane. "And I'll help you." Lily didn't understand why everyone else had given up. In her young mind, problems had solutions. She had seen it before. Her brother, once too weak to walk, had used special equipment at the hospital to get stronger. So why couldn't Spirit do the same? That thought refused to leave her mind. One afternoon, as her aunt, who worked as a physical therapist, came to pick her up from the stable, Lily pulled her toward Spirit's stall. "Tell me again how you helped my brother walk," she demanded. Her aunt smiled, thinking it was just childish curiosity, but she humored her anyway. She explained how injured patients use special harnesses and resistance bands to help them bear weight again. How, with the right support, even those who couldn't stand on their own could slowly regain movement. Lily's eyes widened. "But why can't we do that for Spirit?" The question hung in the air. Her aunt started to respond, to tell her that horses were different, that their size made it impossible, but then she stopped. Was it impossible? Or had no one ever tried? That night, Lily sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by crayons and sheets of paper. She sketched furiously, drawing Spirit in a special harness, one that would hold his weight, let him try to move, and keep him safe while he learned to stand again. She wasn't an engineer. She wasn't a veterinarian. But she saw something no one else had seen. The next morning, Lily ran into the stable office, her crayon drawings clutched in her hands. "We have to help Spirit stand up," she declared, her voice filled with conviction. "We have to build this." The stable owner smiled sadly, ready to offer comforting words, but then Lily's aunt stepped forward. She laid a set of resistance bands on the desk, the same kind used in therapy centers. "This is what Lily was talking about," she explained. "This is how we help people walk again. And I think maybe it's worth trying." Skepticism filled the room. Horses weren't humans. They were massive animals, their bodies requiring constant movement and circulation. But as Lily's aunt explained, something shifted in their expressions. The principle was simple. If Spirit could be supported in a safe, controlled way, just enough to relieve pressure on his spine, he might regain the ability to stand. It was a long shot, but it was better than giving up. Within days, Pine Valley Stables had become a hub of quiet determination. Engineers, veterinarians, and physical therapists worked together, modifying equipment that had only ever been designed for humans. Lily watched every step of the process, refusing to leave Spirit's side. Then the day finally came. The system was ready. A massive frame had been built around Spirit's stall, fitted with carefully placed bands and supports. If it worked, it would take the weight off his legs just enough for him to feel movement again. If it didn't, they didn't want to think about that. With bated breath, the team worked carefully to fit Spirit into the harness. He remained calm, his intelligent eyes watching them as if he understood something big was happening. Lily whispered to him from the sidelines, her small hands gripping the stall's edge. Then, the moment of truth. The bands tightened, slowly taking on some of Spirit's weight. The entire stable seemed to hold its breath. Nothing happened at first. Then, with a visible tremor, Spirit pushed. His front legs moved first, his muscles straining as they tried to remember what they had long forgotten. Then his back legs twitched. Second passed. Then another. And then, for the first time in weeks, Spirit lifted himself off the ground. He didn't stand perfectly. He didn't regain full strength overnight. But he tried. Lily jumped up, clapping her hands. "He's standing," she cried. Dr. Chen's voice was thick with emotion. "He's fighting," she whispered. "That means we have a chance." That was just the start. Over the next several weeks, Spirit trained like an athlete. His muscles, weak from weeks of immobility, grew stronger little by little. The system was modified, adjusted to give him more independence as he progressed. Lily was there for every step, her unwavering belief becoming the heartbeat of his recovery. And one morning, with nothing but a slight hesitation, Spirit took his first independent step. The stable erupted into cheers. Tears streamed down faces. Spirit had done the impossible. But what nobody knew then was that this wasn't just Spirit's victory. It was the beginning of something much, much bigger. And it all started with a little girl who refused to accept the word impossible. 1 year had passed since that heartbreaking October morning, the day everyone thought Spirit's story was coming to an end. But now, as the golden autumn leaves blanketed the ground once more, Pine Valley Stable stood as a symbol of resilience, hope, and second chances. Spirit was no longer confined to his stall. His copper coat gleamed under the morning sun as he moved across the paddock, not with the powerful gallop he once had, but with steady, confident steps. His gait was different, a slight unevenness still present, but to those who had witnessed his struggle, every step was a miracle. His journey had transformed more than just his own life. What had started as a desperate attempt to save one horse had become something much bigger than anyone had imagined. The child's hope system, the very equipment that helped Spirit take his first steps again, had now been refined, improved, and shared with stables and veterinary hospitals across the country. Injured horses, ones who would have once been deemed beyond saving, were being given a second chance. Veterinary schools began studying the system, incorporating it into their rehabilitation programs. Engineers worked to make it more accessible, more adaptable, ensuring that Spirit's story wasn't just an anomaly but a blueprint for hope. And at the heart of it all was a 6-year-old girl who had never seen limitations, only possibilities. Lily still came to Pine Valley Stables every day. She had grown a little taller, her hair a little longer, but her bond with Spirit remained unchanged. Only now, she wasn't just visiting an old friend. She was watching him take on a new role. Spirit, once the horse that needed saving, had become a healer himself. Pine Valley Stables had transformed. In addition to training riders, they now welcome children with disabilities, trauma survivors, and those facing their own uphill battles. And Spirit was at the center of it all. One by one, children would approach him, some hesitant, others filled with quiet wonder. Spirit, ever gentle, would lower his head just as he had done with Lily all those years ago, offering silent reassurance. One boy, who hadn't spoken since a car accident months earlier, whispered his first words as he ran his fingers along Spirit's mane. A young girl, struggling with physical therapy, found motivation in Spirit's story, pushing herself to take just one more step, just as he had. He was no longer just a horse. He was proof that overcoming the impossible wasn't just a dream. Spirit's story spread far beyond Pine Valley Stables. Letters poured in from across the country, from veterinarians, stable owners, and families who had been touched by what had happened. Some wrote to share how the child's hope system had saved their horses. Others simply wanted to say how much Spirit's journey had inspired them. The stable had even started a Spirit of Hope scholarship, providing opportunities for young minds like Lily, kids who saw the world differently, who asked the kinds of questions that led to real change. And as for Lily, she didn't see herself as a hero. To her, she had just done what any friend would do, help someone she loved find their way back. But everyone else knew better. Spirit's story wasn't just about survival. It was about what happens when someone, no matter how small, no matter how inexperienced, dares to ask why not. It was about breaking barriers, challenging what seemed impossible, and proving that sometimes the biggest changes come from the simplest ideas. And most of all, it was about never giving up on someone just because the world says their time is over. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Lily stood beside Spirit, her small hand resting against his neck. "You did it," she whispered. "And now you're helping others do it too." Spirit turned his head slightly, as if he understood, as if he knew that his story had become something much greater than himself. And in that quiet moment, it was clear. His journey wasn't over. It was just beginning. Spirit's incredible journey is just one of many stories of resilience, love, and second chances. And at Loyal Companion Stories, we are dedicated to bringing you more stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us all of the power of kindness and determination. If Spirit's story touched your heart, help us spread this message to even more people. Like this video to show your support for animals and the people who refuse to give up on them. Comment below and share what part of Spirit's journey inspired you the most. Subscribe to our channel and help us reach 10,000 subscribers so we can continue sharing powerful real-life stories of hope and healing. Your support helps us reach more people, inspire more change, and ensure that no story, human or animal, gets left untold. Thank you for being part of this journey. We'll see you in the next story.